Hi there, this is Mrs F, and this is my video on the Night of Long Knives and the death of Hindenburg. Although I'm following the Edexcel specification, you'll find that the content is also relevant to other exam boards. So, this is the second of my lessons on Hitler's creation of a dictatorship. Last time I looked at the Reichstag fire, the Enabling Act, and the removal of other sources of opposition. This lesson we're going to have a look at how Hitler dealt with opposition within his own political party. Historians are divided over whether Ernst Rohm really played a real threat to Hitler, but I suppose the important thing is that Hitler saw him as a genuine threat, whether he was or wasn't. And there are four main reasons for this. First of all, Rohm had merged an army veterans group called the Stahlhelm with the SA, and this had brought SA numbers to 3 million. Some stormtroopers complained that although they had risked death for Hitler, that he undervalued them. And in addition, by 1933, 60% of the SA were permanently unemployed. These angry SA members were more loyal to Rome, which put him in an ideal position to challenge Hitler. And it didn't help that Rome had actually been openly critical of Hitler. He criticised his links with rich industrialists and army generals. He wanted a so-called second revolution with more socialist policies to tax the rich and help the working class. And this actually explains why he was so popular with the SA themselves. There were also other groups who thought that Rome was a threat too. German army officers were worried because after the Versailles Treaty, the army only had 100,000 men, so the SA was many times bigger. And they believed that Rome wanted the SA to replace the German army. And in some ways, we also see a bit of a kind of struggle within the Nazi party itself, with leaders of the SS, like Heinrich Himmler and Reinhard Heydrich, being resentful of Rome too. They wanted to reduce the power of the SA so that they could increase their own power and the status of the SS. In early 1934, leaders of the SS and the army warned Hitler that Rome was planning to seize power. So Hitler arranged a meeting with Rome and 100 other SA leaders at a hotel in the Bavarian town of Bad Weisse on the 30th of June 1934. According to a senior Nazi called Alfred Rosenberg, Hitler knocked gently on Rome's door with an SS escort. In a disguised voice, he said, "A message from Munich." So Rome replied, "Come in, the door is open." Hitler then tore open the door, fell on Rome as he lay in bed, seized him by the throat, and screamed, "You're under arrest, you pig." Then he turned him over to the SS, who took him to Stadelhelm prison, where on the 1st of July, an SS brigade leader arrived. He left a pistol loaded with 1 bullet in Rome's cell, inviting him to commit suicide. But after 15 minutes, he heard no sound, and he entered the cell with his deputy and found Rome standing there with his chest bared in defiance. So they both shot him. In addition to Rome, at Stadelhelm, 6 other SA leaders were shot on Hitler's orders. And over a 4-day period, about 400 people, including 150 senior members of the SA, were all shot without trial. Leading politicians were also murdered. You might remember General von Schleicher, the ex-chancellor who planned an army coup. He was gunned down alongside his wife. Gregor Strasser, who was a Nazi with socialist views similar to Ernst Rohm, was locked in a Gestapo cell before gunmen sprayed bullets through a window, and then a lone gunman entered to finish him off. During the Night of the Long Knives, von Papen, who was still Vice-Chancellor, protested to Goering. Goering told him that the SS had things under control and that he should return home for his own safety. SS squads were rounding up suspects, and one group reached von Papen's office before he did, so they shot his press secretary and arrested his staff. Von Papen's home was surrounded and his telephone cut off. It was very clear now that he did not have Hitler in his pocket, as he boasted he would do to Hindenburg. Hitler was clearly acting illegally, murdering his rivals for power. So Goering called a press conference and said that they discovered that Rohm was planning a revolution to replace Hitler, and that therefore the killings were in the best interest of Germany. Some Germans, of course, brave ones, objected to the violence, but because of censorship, few really knew how bad it was. And a lot of Germans were actually grateful that the hated SA group of violent thugs had been restrained. And although the SA continued after 1934, it was really kind of limited to providing muscle to the Nazi Party, and it no longer rivaled the army, being firmly under Hitler's control as well. No longer the potential threat there'd been under Ernst Rohm. On the 2nd of August 1934, President Hindenburg died at the age of 87, and Hitler used his death to take supreme power. He declared himself Germany's Fuhrer and said that as Fuhrer he would add all of the president's powers to those he already held as Chancellor. He also forced an oath of loyalty to him from every soldier in the army, who previously only had to swear loyalty to the country of Germany itself rather than a specific leader. A plebiscite, or public vote, we might call it a referendum, was held on the 19th of August to confirm Hitler as the Fuhrer. And bombarded by pro-Nazi propaganda, 90% of voters voted in favour. And this really marked the end of the Weimar Republic and the beginning of Hitler's Third Reich. And it's that we're going to turn to next lesson, when we have a look at how Hitler created a police state in Germany and some of the key institutions, the Gestapo, the SS and the SD. So I'll hopefully catch you for that lesson next week. Goodbye.